Good morning.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Masked Gaming from Brisbane.
Good morning.
What time is it in Brisbane? Bloody hell.
How are you, folks?
I'll
show this to some of you. I bought this off Amazon the other day. It's called La Creme. Oh my God, it gives you the best frothy milk.
Does it?
Oh my God, it's so brilliant.
Wow.
I love my frother.
She's pouring her froth.
I'm going to, I've gone back to oat milk.
Masked Gaming, I live in Perth, Western Australia. Oh. Hazel Marbon, Michelle Main, Julie Hilton, Ellen, Vicky Edwards, Alison Fisher, Tina Levitt, April Hill, Layla Baziad, Shoshana, Miss Soph, Sarah McAuliffe, Steph Coleman, Dawn Claricote, Selena Lou Fogg, Melly Mel, Joanne Connolly, Kim Blanton, Lisa Dilmeck, Teresa Saunders, Jenny Fay, Moira Instance. Moira, did you get a thank you the other day? I need to say a big thank you to Helen for you know what, and at some point in the forthcoming weeks we will be doing a one-off mark, what was it, on your mark, get set, cook, just for you because of what you've sent. Very sweet.
Amy Curtis, morning all. When's the next How to Stay Married So Far coming? I love it. What would you like us to talk about next? Amy, Go on, give us an idea.
And whilst you're thinking about that, Confessions of a Modern Parent landed yesterday. Nadia discussed it on her iStories, Insta stories, sorry. And yeah, Confessions of a Modern Parent, it's all about lying. It's all about why do we lie, should we lie? Yes, it is, yeah. You know, whether it's ever right to lie, in what ways do we lie without realising we lie, and what about kids when they lie? When should we worry when they're lying? Go to Global Player or Apple Podcasts or Spotify to listen to it. It's a long one, and also the podcast is good too.
These seaside jokes are getting worse and
What do you
worse.
mean you are defined by seaside jokes? Do you want to maybe sit in the shot?
I'm in shot, you can
No,
see
you're not.
me.
You can see it right here. What was that?
Toffee being weird.
Let me just go and check.
Toffee's being very weird at the moment. Can I do more recipes in the Ninja? Yes, I can. But don't forget, everything you do in the oven, you can do in the Ninja. You just got to have just think about the times because it cooks much faster. My 15-year-old son can't lie, says Sarah. Catch him out every time.
Yeah, there is that.
It's Vicky Edwards' birthday. Can you write it down? We'll sing to you at the end, Vicky.
Can you show me one of those to the subs?
Claire.
Claire.
We love them. Thank
you so much.
But
Very
you guys
sweet.
have got to stop sending us stuff.
Very sweet.
You're
We like
naughty.
cards,
Don't spend
we
your
like
pennies.
messages. We perhaps
They're
like
lovely. They're
reach
really
to
lovely.
seeds
Thank
from
you.
your own poppies. That's lovely. But yeah, don't be naughty. Do you maybe want to explain? So Toffee is just in the other room grappling with a spider plant for some reason. So how are we all this morning? Nicola Jenkins, good morning everyone. Anyone else fed up with their kids being ill since they went back to school? My kids been off school more. Yeah, apparently there are just loads of kids out and off at school. Hazel, knackered. Heather Cromack, the weather's crap. Vicky Edwards, my son has chicken pox, waiting for the other two to get it now. Teresa, who's got kids at home poorly? Oh my God, now we've got an earthquake that rocks Crete. Crete has been struck with a 6.3 Richter. No. That's massive. That's a massive earthquake. In Crete. Sorry, that literally just broke. It's just broken on the in the Daily Mail. God, we've been on holiday to Crete a couple of times.
I love Crete.
Bloody hell.
That's scary.
With the volcano on the Canaries and the earthquake in Crete. Good God. Sarah Sutton, my 2-year-old has been up and down for 3 weeks. Awful cough. Temperature was 39.8. Oh, dearie me. Keely Windle, my daughter is in hospital really poorly. Oh no. Can everyone send Keely a big hug? Oh dear, that's just horrible. Euphemia Ramona, Nadia says, for how to stay married, we should ask, do men stay grumpy after 50?
They get worse.
What do you mean?
You're much grumpier
No,
now than
I'm
you
not.
used to be.
Maybe it's because of you. The kids don't think I am. Oh, there's a volcano kicking off in Iceland as well.
See, that's why I can't live in Iceland.
Francisca Bastos says, on How to Stay Married, I'd love you to talk to us single ladies about how you knew that was the right person, or if you ever really know. That's a good question. Jane Donnelly, sun, awful cold, off school a week. Yeah, I think they're sort of giving...
Every young person's ill.
Maddie's saying every young person's ill with freshers. She's got a terrible freshers flu. It's freshers flu, festival flu. Kiki's in a class where there's just 4 people. Teachers are ill. It's carnage out there. But surely, once everyone has had it or got these flus and thingy once, everyone will be back on the road to recovery, right? Or is that incredibly simplistic? Elijah, we did. Thank you so much. We did so much. But I don't necessarily know whether you... It doesn't say who they're from. But thank you so much.
Dad, the thing I just got in the...
Oh my God.
She absolutely loves it.
Oh, that's
She was going to
beautiful.
buy it the other day.
Oh, wow. What's that?
I'm just making Maddie some ginger and turmeric because she's feeling
Oh,
poorly.
it's ginger. I wondered what that was. Nikki. Oh, that's so sweet, Matt.
Yeah.
Nikki, my boy is absolutely loaded with the cold. That's a nice way to describe it. Is he full of phlegm and snot?
Mark,
Hoping
why
it's...
not to say that? It's disgusting.
Because that's what we're all thinking when you say loaded. Oh, it's just pinged away and gone away. Oh, no, here we go. Hoping it's not COVID. It won't be, I promise you. But I would never be able to get him tested as he's autistic and has sensory issues. Sorry, I didn't see the rest of that. Oh, Nikki. I'm so sorry. Miriam W, I think we should be going into isolation when we come down with these bugs like we did for COVID. Yeah, because what you don't want is the twindemic. Isn't it annoying they found that word, twindemic? Flu and COVID is a twindemic. Oh, sod off. Sarah Cliff, did you see the plane that crashed into a van in America? Are you joking? In a minute, we're going to hear stories of donkeys landing on people. Stacey269, my son's asthma seemed to be fine during lockdown, hardly needed an inhaler. Back at school, he changed to purple and blue inhalers, hoping we don't have hospital visits. My God, a lot of you are really labouring under ill kids, aren't you?
Yeah.
Awful lot of you. Kirsty Jane,
Honestly, there was
my son has been
5
diagnosed
people.
with asthma again, so asthma and cold. My asthma's much worse at the moment. I thought it was my bipolar drugs, but my asthma's much worse.
Yeah, this was getting worse as well.
Is it?
When I did
Paddy's.
asthma as well.
Yeah. God almighty. My daughter, April Austin, my daughter has autism and a very rare progressive neurological disease and can't walk now. Paranoid she's going to be seriously ill. Oh, April. My God. Oh, sweetheart. That's so tough. Sending you a huge, huge hug. Karen Ula, I had a cough for 5 weeks. Well, there you go. A simple question, and clearly everyone is labouring under. I mean, I guess it's just we've all come out of lockdown. None of our immunity is in place, and we're just susceptible to the smallest cold and the simplest of flus. So it's not good, is it? Now the big news story today, Emma, your breathing's bad as well. Julie Hilton says, Mark, you're not grumpy, you're adorable. There you go. Pleasure, Michelle Main. I just got incandescently furious about what our girls have to deal with. It's just shocking. It's just shocking what our girls have to put up with. But yeah, so I've posted about that on my Instagram. So the big story today, guys, is the damning pandemic report. Though when you read it, it's not just it isn't only damning. It's also relatively complimentary as well. I mean, I'm surprised this is the way it's being reported. I mean, the UK. Put it this way. Yes, it's critical to some extent, but all of the areas in which it's been critical, I think Boris can easily negotiate and get round. I.e., first time we ever had one, thus our response was a bit late. We were dealing with something we didn't know. The whole idea of herd immunity. There are a lot of people who kind of feel that that's perhaps what we're going for even now. Even where I think this report is critical, I think seeing what Boris has managed to get round in other scenarios, he can easily get round this. There's not enough there. There's not enough there, babe. There's a lot of complimentary stuff about the vaccine and everything else.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to listen to the rest of it. That's what James O'Brien was saying. This is commissioned by the Tories. Tories on the. He said this is a fix-up.
Right. Okay. Tell us more.
Well, that's all I was hearing. He said it's a fix-up. This is.
Well, this is what I was leaning to, is if this is a critical, and I wonder whether the sort of the press or the right-wing press are trying to say, oh, this is critical, you know, they were late with their lockdown and what have you. That doesn't amount to a challenging report.
No.
At all. In which case,
Well,
it's a bit of a cover-up.
I know that many of
What do you think,
the
guys?
survivors groups and families of the people that lost them have say that this is an absolute slap in the face, this report. They weren't spoken to, nobody was, you know, nobody that's lost anybody was spoken to read this report.
Well, that just about stacks
And
up,
it's
doesn't
like,
it?
and it's
That's
like,
what this government's
I don't know
like.
whether it's mentioned in the report, but
Joanne.
James O'Brien was saying, you know, where is that Dido Harding? 37, what was it? Was it 37 billion paid or million?
Yeah, I don't think she got that, but yeah, it was
Track
paid to
and
the track and
trace.
trace.
And he said, you know, if we'd had a track and trace that worked, we wouldn't have had to have lockdowns.
Well, they do identify that as one of the shortfulls. They do identify that.
Well,
but
the money, Mark, put
Yeah.
into the pockets of their friends.
Yes.
When businesses that had, I mean, Apple wanted to do the track and trace, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't go with that.
Because they put the money into
Yeah,
their friends'
I
pockets.
realise.
And the thing is, that's why the track and trace didn't work, because
Yeah.
they weren't people that were in any way versed on how to create an app.
So if you don't know the report, as Nadia rightly says, it was a report populated with kind of, you know, brown-nosing Tory MPs. So, you know, there we go. Not just Tory MPs, it was a cross-party report. But as we know, the opposition is next to effing useless. They're like a bust flush. They're like a chocolate teapot. They're like getting in the shower and drying yourself with a baguette. Utterly pointless.
Wow, that's a strong view from Paula. Paulum?
Track and trace should be treated like a war crime.
Well, but you know what? That's not...
37 billion.
This present came as an apology to Mum.
Oh my God, look at those. I'm not even going to tell you what I've just seen.
That's so funny.
Blair. Yeah, so the lockdown was a mistake. This is what they're saying. The lockdown delay was a mistake.
Oh, sorry, just to go back to
can I
Paula.
let me
what
just
she
finish that
said
thought? Yeah,
on the
no,
war
but the
crime.
opposition is rubbish. That's why, yeah, go for it.
Well, it's just, you might read that comment and just go, well, that's a bit much. But if it really is true that the people that were able to create a track and trace app that would have worked,
Yeah.
and it really is true that government officials put the contracts into the pockets of friends of theirs
Yeah.
or contacts of theirs that did not have that experience, and therefore it resulted in hundreds or maybe even thousands of unnecessary deaths. It's not that crazy when you say
We have precedent here, though. Was Gavin Williamson at some point, was he Transport Secretary when he awarded a ferry contract to a company that had never seen a ferry
I don't
or
remember
built
that
a
one.
ferry? Yeah, so a company that had no experience in ferries, I think it was like a paper manufacturer, was given a contract
Oh,
for
right.
ferries.
No, I don't know
You
that.
know, so this government, it's not about whether you've got a track record or whether your CV says that you've done something correctly. They just give it to anyone.
Hope you're well, Holly. Holly's walking up to uni.
Oh.
Hope you're well. Hope your long COVID
Is that our Holly?
That's our Holly.
So just for those of you who possibly haven't seen the report, so the main findings are that the lockdown delay was a mistake, but scientists are to blame too. Oh, that's interesting. Share
Well,
the
I
blame.
don't know if anyone heard the minister this morning with Nick Ferrari asking him 5 times, so is there any apology? And he's just said no.
Well, our favourite part.
Yes, we followed the science. So it's the scientist's fault. No, it's not the scientist's fault either.
Kay Burley asked 11 times. 11 times Kay Burley asked Stephen Barclay, and he refused to apologise
do
for
they?
any of the mistakes, even given that the report has said there are some mistakes. Why are they not even giving an inch?
So that's what I want to know. You know, whenever politicians come into the studio,
Nanny Di's here. Hi, Mum.
Hi, Nanny Di. There's always 4 or 5 people walking along like this, whispering into their ears.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite fascinating to watch. And you just know that every one of them has said, even if they hang you by your feet upside down, do not apologise. Why? Because even if they said, we're so sorry for those deaths, and of course I'm so sorry for that, but there was, it's like that word could open a floodgate for them that is so dangerous.
Absolutely.
That under no circumstances, even under the glare of live television, with the embarrassment, because Nick Ferrari really embarrassed that minister today on the radio. He just wasn't going to say it.
Yeah.
So why? What would it mean once an admittance of culpability, I suppose, and then what?
Well, I think it's probably a hangover from days, years ago, eons ago, where there's this idea that if you do admit culpability, you're leaving an open goal to the opposition. But I think,
But what about the optics? What about what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're feeling? Do they not weigh it up and go, do you know what? I really think there should be a bit of an apology here, because I think it's actually irating people further.
Like Rachel says, it would show that they give a shit. Well, I think humanity has been missing from British politics for a very, very long time. Even when you have an opposition party that you kind of like, or you kind of think, oh, they're kind of good, that's good. As soon as they get into power, I'm thinking, for example, what's the name of Nick? What was the name of the guy who led the Liberal Democrats, who we quite liked? Do you remember his name? He's now at
Nick.
Facebook.
Oh,
What's
God,
his name?
But then he sold all the students down. Nick,
well, exactly. As soon as he got into Nick Clegg, thank you.
Yeah.
As soon as he got into the what's it called when you have two parties? Fucking hell, my.
As soon as he got into the
coalition, he just went. And this happens to everyone. They all get in there, and suddenly there's this thing called cabinet responsibility, which is if one person is, 5 people oppose something in the cabinet, you have to go out and present a unified front.
But I do think that so many of our politicians are so far removed from life. And Mark and I were having this conversation this morning. This great guy rang up. He was an HGV driver. And he said, why don't they at school offer student loans to the practical jobs as well, like heavy goods vehicles?
Yeah, student loans for all.
And it was like, why is it only academic student loans? Because here we are, when you call people unskilled and those supposed unskilled people disappear, look how our whole infrastructure collapses. Yeah. So it was like, even Nick Ferrari was going,
oh no, Nick Ferrari was blown away.
He was blown away, but then we got into the conversation and Mark was saying, what we need some sort of a
citizens' assembly.
Yeah, within Parliament, so it can be real people.
Scrap the House of Lords. Scrap the House of Lords and have a citizens' assembly as a second house.
What's the House of Lords? It's out of the ark. And the thing is, our Prime Minister, on purpose, I swear to God, there's no accident that he's in Marbella when this report comes out. He's sat in a 25 million pound villa, right? Is there any way he can understand what it's like? But what do you think of that idea of just giving people a student loan for whatever job they want?
I totally agree. I mean, especially if in certain trades, I think the assumption is that if you go to university, you're going to get a job that means you can afford to pay off the loan.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly elitist assumption, because a huge number of people come out of university and can't get any of the jobs that they've educated.
But if you get a student loan to learn how to be a heavy goods vehicle driver, you're going to get a job straight away.
It's a genius idea.
He said, imagine how many young lads at school, and you say to them, you can be earning 40 grand a year. It's this $4 grand loan. You'll pay it off. We're like, how come no politician has thought of that?
But what I like about this phone call is it's become a news story, and the guy who rang in as a chap called Jay, citing the example of a student loan which is used to access university education, the caller said there was nothing similar in place for people to gain vocational qualifications. Now, there was years ago, before the Tory and Labour Party removed polytechnics.
What was it? Oh, polytechnics.
Polytechnics served a purpose, but then everyone wanted this effing word university at the end of it, so that you got to the point where the local village hall was basically the village hall university. It's lunacy. What's the point of becoming... I worked for the organisation, the university group, whatever, that was lobbying to have everywhere turned into a university. Just calling it a university means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. I think this is a brilliant idea, and I think it needs to be adopted. And the irony is that people pursuing vocational courses are probably more likely to be able to pay off the loan more quickly than...
And if there's one good thing that's come out of this disaster, is that we have to have more respect for all the jobs, like we did, through the pandemic with supermarket workers, and really finding out what it's bloody like working in a supermarket and how tough it is and how much shit they have to put up with. Yeah, just more respect.
Meanwhile, Boris is in a 25 million. I accept that it's his friend. He's in a 20.
Who's got a friend with a 25
Well,
million
exactly.
pound
I
villa?
don't see that as a kind of justification. The optics are he's sat in millionaires Marbella, whilst all of this other shit is kicking off and going on. It's quite remarkable. I mean, it's not to say that anyone isn't deserving of a holiday, absolutely, but how can you be so spectacularly dense as to not think that the optics on this are wrong?
Listen, the denseness, they cannot read a room. So
Go
this
to-
morning, the minister
go to
was on the Nick
Cornwall.
Ferrari. Every time Nick Ferrari asked him a question about this report, do you know what he said? Oh, we haven't read it yet. It came out at midnight. And he was like, Nick Ferrari was like, hang on a minute, that's a totally wrong answer to this question. If I were the Prime Minister, I would have had 100 people, basically, I'm paraphrasing, is what he said, reading that report so that everybody today has the information. Because if you're someone that's lost someone from COVID and you're sitting there listening to a minister go, oh, we haven't read it yet. Oh my God.
Kate finds
they
a
don't
pen.
even care how that would feel for somebody.
Kate finds a pen, says she believes he went out of the country precisely because he knew this report was landing.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he would have had total foresight.
Absolutely, he would have known the date was coming out.
Nanny Di says, have to get rid of Boris as long as he's a figurehead and that's all he is. Politics in this country can't be taken seriously.
No, it can't. But
Entirely
Di,
right.
as you know, the thing is, they had this shadow. What's Rishi Sunak? The
Shadow Chancellor.
Shadow Chancellor. No, maybe it was Shadow Finance Minister. Is there somebody called Shadow Finance? Anyway, Nick Ferrari asked him 4 times in a row, would they help out industry? And he said 4 times, he started his sentence with, well, we would sit down and we would, and in the end, Nick Ferrari was saying, right, okay, we've got you that you're going to sit down, but what is the answer to the bloody question? He didn't have an answer for the question. It's like, he should have been there as, Labour for the people saying, absolutely, we would be working out a way to finance industry so these jobs aren't lost, because if the jobs are lost, we're in even more of a financial mess. And I was just like, I was so let down again by Labour. It was like, for God's
I can't even hear Keir Starmer. It's like, is he
He's made no comment on this
kidnapped?
report. Why am I listening to dodgy Labour, shadow Labour people that I've never even heard of?
But he's supposed to be an incisive and decisive lawyer. Why isn't he sort of picking this apart forensically and just getting on with it? Carol Naismith, Boris never... Hi, Carol. Boris never delivers difficult or bad news. He rolls others out to do that.
That's so true, Carol.
True.
He just buffoons in, doesn't he?
Liam McCartney, I'm currently in the Republic of Ireland, but live in London mainly, and the view of Boris is seen as hilarious. The UK is a laughing stock.
It is.
It really is.
Absolutely.
You don't even have to go abroad and look back to know that. It just feels utterly ridiculous. I mean, there are times where I'm roaring with laughter at just how ridiculous we are.
Why have we got ELKS in the title?
You're going to find out, babe. You're going to find out. Yeah, ELKS. I love an elk. It's an and finally. It's an and finally. But look, Dominic Cummings, that sort of panto villain who was sat at the edge of things, who, when I heard him again quoted today when he said basically such and such said, we're fucked, the head of health or whatever it was. Dominic Cummings has come out and said, we have a joke Prime Minister.
Who you helped
and we have
to get into bloody position,
Well-
and didn't tell us all when all these fuck-ups were going on behind the scenes, which I do believe the stuff he says, but he didn't feel any sort of moral obligation to come out to the British people and say, listen, it's a shit show in there and people are dying because it's a shit show.
Yes, perhaps, but okay, here's the lunacy of the situation, and this is really why I wanted to home in on Dominic Cummings. The only person in the country that I'm here criticising Boris and the government in the way I'd like to hear is the man who created the problem.
Created him in the first place.
It's the most lunatic situation. I agree with everything Dominic Cummings has said since he's left government.
I do, actually.
What is going on? What is going on? So speaking to Sky News outside his home, Dominic Cummings said, me and others put into place work to try and improve the system in 2020 after the first wave. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister, being the joke that he is, has not pushed that work through. So what he's suggesting is there were obviously lots of other sort of structures and things that were planned and put in place at the beginning that could have prevented many of the things that the report picks up. We won't know what those are, but I think he's clearly saying this needn't have happened.
Do you think they ever bump into each other at dinner parties?
I don't know.
I bet they move in the same circles.
Yeah. He also said that the opposition is a joke too. So he said the PM is a joke and the opposition is a joke. They are. I literally don't know what we're going to be able to do without an effective opposition.
Families of COVID victims today blasted the report as laughable, with a spokesman saying that it barely mentions the over 150,000 bereaved families.
Is there
Shocking,
is there a sort of psychopathy or sociopathy? Are they sociopaths and psychopaths?
I think they get away with every single thing they do and every single thing they say. They just keep rising in the polls because somewhere a whole load of people have lost their minds and have got Stockholm syndrome. So now they can come out and say, oh, we haven't read the report. You know, Dominic Cummings can say, oh, of course people won't be choosing between heating and eating. Boris can languish in a £25 million villa when this country is absolutely in
turmoil,
free fall, and they get away with everything. So it's really a problem. It's like somebody should be resigning over this. It's like James O'Brien was just saying. He goes, people used to resign when terrible things. He goes, nobody resigns anymore.
No.
He said, do you remember, who was that poor Home Secretary who she resigned and actually it had nothing to do with Angela or Andrea?
I know
she was great. Apparently she was a really good politician and she, you know, threw herself on a sword. But this lot... Amber Rudd,
resignations come from pressure Amber Rudd, yeah.
Pressure
comes from
by the people.
or by the opposition. It's just not happening.
I mean, we got rid of, what's his name, didn't we? Little twerp.
Who's little twerp?
Nick Hancock.
Matt Hancock.
Matt Hancock.
Nick Hancock used to present questions.
Matt Hancock wasn't going anywhere until Boris, remember, 100% supported him. Yeah. And then because, as a nation, everyone got really fucking pissed off, they went, oh dear, maybe might push them a little bit too far here. Let's give the peasants a little something.
Yeah. Look, we're getting to the situation where Kiki SG says, just announced on this morning, that all soaps, I presume you mean soap operas, are collaborating to talk about climate change. Hang on a minute. We're in a world where soap operas are going to do more for climate change than any government.
I hate to say this, but soap operas have always done more for society. They tackle all sorts of things that other people, that the governments won't.
I mean, they have domestic abuse and things like that. They do it very well as well, because it goes straight into the kind of minds of people watching. I literally don't know what to do.
I want Andy Burnham and I want Angela Rayner.
He definitively says he's not interested in leading the party. It's a little bit like that moment that David Miliband swanned off to New York.
Do you know what? I think it's his duty. He's born for it. We need him.
It's only me. You're absolutely right. It's not just the opposition who's at fault. It's our journalists too. They've forgotten how to question and verify what they're told, and nowadays they just seem to take what the government say as gospel truth. Well, and also the most simple reason for that is, and without banging the LBC drum, you've probably heard, we listen to Nick Ferrari a lot, right-wing, James O'Brien, left-wing, and then they have a whole host of other people. Andrew Pearce is very good, he's right-wing, Daily Mail. It's a great place to get the political opinions of, you know, the full spectrum. But the problem is, very few, look at the newspapers. When we do them at the weekend, 8 out of 10 are all right-leaning and government-supporting. You're not going to get any true objectivity. They'll profess to be objective and analytical, and there are some journalists at, say, the Times that are middle of the road and what have you. But by and large, they do not. They just regurgitate the government policy. It's infuriating. So you're right, it's only me. It's not just that they don't probe and they don't press. To be fair, Kay Burley asked Stephen Barclay this morning 11 times to apologise for something. And the thing I've said all along is we would give this government, we'd cut them some slack if they just said we're a little bit sorry about that. Just give an inch.
And Brexit is causing some problems, but they don't feel answerable.
You know, there's a new answer about Brexit. There's a new answer about Brexit. They say, oh, this was always the plan. This was always going to happen. We always knew it was going to be a bit...
Did you tell anyone that? Did they tell anyone that?
It was always going to be a bit of pain before the joy. And in fact, we've heard the government say the reason we've got an HGV crisis, fuel crisis and everything is precise, and the way we're being able to solve this crisis is only because of Brexit. I mean, how the fuck do they get that logic out there? And people buy it. We are being gaslit.
Absolutely gaslighted.
Right, do you want to hear about ELKS? Do you want an and finally story,
Because
guys?
then we've got to go.
Yeah, and we got...
Got to sing to do our little song.
was it Vicky Edwards' birthday?
Yeah.
Is that right? And Joanne Littlewood hasn't had a welcome before.
Okay.
And someone said we need to do pumpkin cutting competition
Oh,
at Halloween.
God.
That'd be
Oh,
carnage.
guys, hit the like button. There's lots of you here, and only 126 of you hit the like. Hit the like.
Hit the like. So I'm
Hit
just
the
going to
like.
refresh
Just
this.
on
So elk. Has anyone met an elk?
I'm not sure
filmed
I know
moose.
what an elk is.
I filmed moose. I filmed dead moose.
What's the
I filmed-
definition of an elk?
Well, I'm curious to know because I think is an elk much bigger than a moose? Anyway, an elk that's lived for 2 years with a rubber tyre around its neck. Listen, 2 years it's had a rubber tyre around its neck.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I'm going to show you the photo.
Looks like toffee with
Yeah.
a donut.
Elk that lived for 2
this
years with a rubber tyre around its neck. Check this out,
Look
guys.
at this mess.
You ready?
Oh.
Look at him.
How did he get that on?
Oh,
There
he's
you go.
probably nuzzled him.
He's had it for 2 years.
How do they know they
in
had it for 2
Colorado
years?
because they've been trying after it's the 4th attempt to help him get it off, and they managed to do it.
Oh, I bet he had such neck hair.
The saga of the bull elk with a tie around its neck is over thanks to the residents just south of Pine Junction. Wildlife officers were able to free it of the tyre. Oh, what's happening here? Let's have a look. Oh, look, and there she is. Oh, look with the tyre. Look, they must have sedated her and then taken it. Oh,
Oh, my God.
Look, they had to take her horns
to get it
off.
off. How did she
Oh
get
my
it on?
Maybe
God.
she got it on before her horse.
For a horns
Very good
grew.
point.
Clever.
Clever. There you go. She got it on her. She got it on before her horns had grown.
Grown, of course.
There you go. I wonder if she ever gurned. Do you remember when people would gurn through a? Oh no, it
Yeah.
wasn't a tire, was it? It was a toilet seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Vicky Edwards, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
dear
dear
Vicky
Vicky.
Edwards.
Happy
Happy birthday
birthday
to you.
Birthday.
I've got my braces in.
Joanne Littlewood.
Joanne Littlewood.
Joanne Littlewood.
Joanne Littlewood.
Welcome
Welcome.
to the family guest area.
Oh.
Guys, have a lovely day. A vlog will be landing
Do
soon.
check out my lasagna tasty toasty I made yesterday. I'm going to make one for Maddie today. Oh my God, it was so damn good.
And I completely forgot to say, a question will be landing on the community tab, and whoever gets the question right will go into a tombola. You can only answer once, and if you answer more than once, it'll be your first answer only. And it's the second opportunity to win a personalised message from us to you.
And the
or
person that
someone
won
you
the
know.
last time was very happy
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, it was
so
lovely.
it can be like a birthday wish, anniversary, or just a message to
Yeah.
you. Mark and I will film it and send it to you.
Guys, stay safe.